Who? It's that time again. 2022, baby. Football season's arrived. Free of Kool-Aid. No Kool-Aid. Just objective truth. We were justified. We were justified to feel as optimistic as we were last year. 2019, we were not justified. We had no right to be as excited as we were. Finish the season strong is usually a good indicator that we're going to be okay the following year. Still, there's no excuse to ignore the validity of the rest of the roster. Toss 2019 out. 2020, COVID year. Throw that out. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The COVID year was pretty much meant for already established programs. It's like, here's a freebie. There you go. I'm sure there's probably one or two exceptions out there. Then you had 2021. I was drinking all the Kool-Aid. Because on paper, we had absolutely every justifiable reason to believe in that season. The one caveat to that season, the 2021 season, was that beast of a schedule. And I'll debate anybody till I'm blue in the face that was the toughest schedule in the country. Top 10, my ass. Hey, I remember that seeing some of those lists where it listed it at like 10 or 9, and I saw a bunch of the schedules that were ahead of us from last year's schedule, the 2021 schedule, and I just was laughing. I was like, And again, beating a dead horse here, but it's like last year, this team finally learned that they're as good as anybody in the Big Ten. They truly believe they can win the Big Ten. You could see going into the Oklahoma game where they were expected to get blown out. You could see that as the game progressed, they were starting to figure out, it's like, we can play with these guys, right? As the season progressed, almost every single game, with an exception of that Minnesota game, and the Purdue game, every single game, for the most part, we go into these games thinking, this is when they're going to get blown out. This is when they're going to get blown out. This is when they're going to get blown out. And they never did. Against Ohio State, Wisconsin. I was worried about that Wisconsin game, and to be honest, they should have gotten blown out. Giving up 200 and some odd yards to that amazing running back that they have, they shouldn't have been in that game at the end, and they were. They had a chance to win that game. Resilience. This coaching staff has established resilience amongst these players now that the culture is established. So, moving into this year, 2022, what are some of the things that we've learned? What are some of the things that we've learned so far in this training camp? We have seen evidence. They are finally taking the special teams seriously. They did something about the offensive line. First of all, let's start with some coaches. Okay, I already did a video talking about the coaches when they started hiring all these brand new coaches, and I was optimistic and liking what I was seeing. Not only has all my optimism been 100% validated, I am excited about all these new coaches, not only because of the type of coaches they brought in, but also the energy, the attention to detail, the nobility, the experience, the moxie. You could tell it's bleeding down on the players, solidifying newly established culture. Because 2021, you started to see the culture really settle into what the culture is going to be and what they want it to be. It's been apparent from day one when Frost took the job that, and as it should be in every locker room, that it is a player-led locker room. Tom Osborne was all about player-led locker rooms. 2018, 2019, 2020, players weren't doing shit. I still remember that story of Wan'Dale Robinson in 2019 flipping out on a bunch of players in a locker room. A freshman flipping out on a bunch of players in the locker room when they're trying to get ready for Ohio State of all teams because they're not being serious. They're not being focused. You know what I mean? We are finally there. Leadership, ownership, players really grabbing people by the throat when it needs to happen. You're seeing it on multiple levels. And not only are some of the players really taking the reins with that, but also all the players that they brought in, the best transfer portal class in the Big Ten, the players that they brought in, you could tell are professionals. They're guys that have come in with the right attitude. Some of them are coming from locker rooms that have a culture already established. Some of the players are coming with a chip on their shoulder. They brought in some serious dudes. I think that intertwined with the leadership that's already been established, on top of the coaches and the attention to detail and the having an answer for absolutely everything. And it's not a bullshit answer, it's not a generalized answer, it's not a glossy answer, and it's not a pandering answer.
I don't think not only that, third down, the guys understand, hey, the running back's got to know it's 3rd and 2, they got to know it's 3rd and 3.
A detailed answer. Screams, I've been here, I've done that. You see that with every interview that Mr. Mark Whipple gives.
Same with the receivers at 3rd and 8. You don't really adjust the routes as much, but it's just knowing where it is, at what time it is. Handing the ball to the official. on 2 minute or anything like that. So
it's been a really good camp. They fought, and I said it reminded me when I had to call the plays in at the Super Bowl, and I thought right before that if I screw this play up, I won't be able to go back to Pittsburgh because they'll murder me. So those guys can't, it's important to them, but they got to relax. There's that fine line of just, hey, you've done well. We're going to make some mistakes. How are you going to handle adversity? So just a little reminder there that they can't get uptight and get on one another. It's important to them, and they're fun to be around, and it's been a really good camp.
You see the rule with an iron fist, as he put it, by Mickey Joseph, and his demanding that these receivers have attention to detail. And that's one thing that I find fascinating about Mickey Joseph's arrival, is it has really shown how high of a ceiling and how much these receivers weren't being developed or getting a lot of attention. Well, now they're getting immense attention to detail, and they're being held accountable, regardless of whether Raiola on paper is unproven, to the fact that he has brought energy, fire, and a philosophy of attacking as opposed to receiving, but also adding depth to allow them to shuffle players around and to find the best match. Gives you options. Are they going to be the best offensive line in the Big Ten? Of course not. Of course not. With all these new coaches, and I didn't even mention Applewhite, Mr. New Running Backs coach, which I am loving everything that he's doing.
How diverse? Oh, we get from, you got Yant, he's 236 pounds, and Ramir, who's 175, so we got everything in the middle. But the one thing that never backs away is our physicality. You know, Ramir is going to run just the way Yant, he might not run over everybody like Yant does, but he's going to hit the hole like Yant does. That's one thing that will never back up. But as far as the broad spectrum of different styles, yeah, we got a broad style, but one thing we will do is we will hit it in between those tackles, and we will not surrender. The vibe and the feel, not being here in the past. Obviously, this is my first fall camp here with Coach Frost at the University of Nebraska. I love the vibe. I think, from what I've seen from spring ball, the summer workouts, and these 18 practices or whatever practices that we've had in camp, that this is a very hungry team. This is an eager team. This is a team that wants to please. This is a team that wants to play hard for each other. This is a team that wants to play hard for the state of Nebraska. This is a team that has a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. It's a team that is ready to go play and see, the culmination of the hard work that we've been doing since January, show up on the field.
Sounds to me, I've looked at some of the drills that they're doing, and not only some of the drills, but it sounds like his philosophy of attacking, hitting the hole with immense aggression. Don't be trying to read the blocks as much, just hit it with aggression, and keep your pads low. I don't know why last year the running backs were always running high like Eric Dickerson. You're not Eric Dickerson. Why are you running high? Get your pads low. Get your knees up. Sounds like they're running low again. That's the other thing that we have learned from this training camp, is they are taking special teams very seriously this time.
Sure, great question. Chris Koloveric stands out big time for us on special teams. Doing an unbelievable job for us. I anticipate him doing really well for us in that spot also. Ramir Johnson does everything for us. Our long snappers have done everything for us in both positions, covering down on kicks, but done a great job. Tommy Hill is a big addition for us to be able to get that done. Isaac Gifford is another one who does a great job of getting things done for us on every single day. So that whole group right there, just like that. There's Brian right there. It's good to see him. We also had a large amount of work with really bad weather this spring, so we didn't get as much of it in the fall here. But today was a great day for us. Wasn't much wind, but we had, again, decent moisture, so it was a good situation for us. So it was a good deal.
Excitement and vibrance that Mr. Bush talks about the special teams and how these guys are coming along. The amount of time that I'm hearing in terms of their emphasis and how the entire team is involved, and not only the amount of time they're spending doing special teams, but when they're doing it, and honestly, the kickers and punters that they brought in and how well they've been performing, how do you want to say, how much better they've gotten from spring training camp to this training camp. I'm going out there on a limb and saying not only is the front seven on defense going to be a strength, the special teams is going to be a strength. So those issues are fixed, you hope. What's the rest of that roster look like? You got to start with the defense.
I like our team right now a lot, and just not even from the players, the ability that way. I just like our team, the way guys work, the way guys compete, the way they understand this is a business. I just like where their heads at, and I think that we got a really good football team that plays together. What about you? You got any questions? What's your name? What? Kale, you got any questions? No? All right.
I'm not sure people really believed or were confident that this defense was going to be as good, head and shoulders better than the 2021 unit. Statistically, the 2021 unit really wasn't all that great, right? But watching the eye test, watching them on the field, they were stingy, they were opportunistic, they gave up a lot of first downs. They made you fight for absolutely everything. Losing what they've lost in terms of in the secondary, leaders like JoJo Doman, Cam Taylor-Britt, I still cry over it every day. Damian Daniels, I didn't think we were going to lose him. It bums me out we lost him. I swear whoever gave him bad advice about the draft should I want that guy back. I think Damian Daniels was setting up for a stellar year this year. Who's taking his place? I don't like doing predictions. A lot of guys like doing predictions. A lot of guys like predicting game after game. I'm going to pick them winning this game, that, whatever. I don't, in preseason rankings, I could give two shits. It's not that interesting to me. So I'm not going to make any predictions. I guess kind of what I've hinted at already is, we had a right to be optimistic last year. Going into this year, it's not even drinking the Kool-Aid anymore. It's like, you just know. It's like, they're there. They're there. The coaches are there. The right coaches are there. The right energy is there. The culture has only gotten better. The leadership has only gotten better. Even losing leaders like a Cam Taylor-Britt or a JoJo Doman, even losing guys like that, everything's better. The leadership is better. The players that they brought in are better. Who's the guy that we're hearing on a regular basis that is the guy of this team? Mr. Grant Wistrom's, I swear to God, twin brother, Garrett Nelson. Garrett Nelson, Mr. Scottsbluff native. That guy truly seems like not only a chip on his shoulder, but that guy definitely seems like he learned what his ceiling is. He put it upon himself to not only take a step, but take 10 steps forward, and is basically looking behind him at the rest of the team saying, are you going to catch up? I think Garrett Nelson mirrors Grant Wistrom in terms of not only his build, his style of play, his length, but just Grant Wistrom was arguably not only the top 3 greatest defensive lineman Nebraska's ever had, but one of the greatest leaders Nebraska's ever had. Garrett Nelson seems like those are the shoes that he's trying to wear, and he seems like he's doing everything right thus far. I mean, you've already got guys like Stephon Wynn from Alabama saying that Garrett Nelson's one of the best leaders he's ever been around. We thought the defense was going to be lagging a little bit. That's one thing we've learned in this training camp is the complete opposite. Not only is this defense sounding like they're as good as last year, it sounds like they have taken a huge leap forward. Attributed to philosophy changes in terms of a 4-3, 4-2, 4-2-5, whatever. Caleb Tanner, he's been here long enough, and they learned a lot from last year, and within a 4-3 scheme is going to only benefit Caleb Tanner. I feel like he is going to be a buzzsaw. He is going to be a Wolverine. He's going to be a Badger, just harassing the living hell out of quarterbacks this year. I truly believe that. Him and Garrett Nelson combined. How they're going to use Caleb Tanner, I don't know. They're going to use him as an outside linebacker that blitzes on a regular basis. Is he going to have his hand in the dirt? I don't know. Luke Reimer, I think is going to be an all Big Ten. Is going to be an all Big Ten linebacker, and I think he's going to thrive in a 4-3. But it sounds like not only is the front seven gotten way better, but the secondary. It sounds like the secondary, regardless of losing 3 starters, it sounds like the secondary is better than they were last year.
Oh, they really do. And I tell our kids, I tell our receivers, we got to the point where the best people we're going to see is in practice, because we have some really good DBs, and really good kids that can really play back there, and they long, and they rangy, they athletic, and they got great ball skills. So it's good to go against those guys every day, and that makes the receivers better. It also makes the DBs better when we can battle like that. And it's been good in this camp. It's been really competitive.
Longer, more athletic, faster, better at covering. You would think, okay, maybe they're not as physical, but to hear the rumors from the scrimmages that they were sure tackling in the open field and being opportunistic with turnovers. I think a lot of those players that they brought in, Tommy Hill I keep hearing a lot about too. How every single coach just says, well, he's got to get to this point, he's got to get to that point. He does a few things wrong. but he could be one of the best Nebraska's ever had. They're not saying the best Nebraska's ever had, but that is what they're basically saying. They're saying that, he could be that guy good enough to where his name is going to be on the award walls of Nebraska history. That's high praise. That's really high praise. And to be honest, just from a pure cover standpoint, right out the gates, I think he's going to do a hell of a job. Cam Taylor-Britt is a great player. As far as a pure cover guy, Tommy Hill might be better. And I think Travis Fisher's consistency, staying here, and this is what always gets undersold with all these impatient people that just always want to fire coaches, fire coaches, fire coaches. Consistency matters, people. And to the fact that a coach, high-level coach like Travis Fisher has been around for 5 years, means the world to a bunch of these players. It really establishes a chance to bring in the type of players that you need, as well as makes kids want to stay. I haven't even mentioned, when I was talking about some of these players that are wriggling to step up, I didn't even mention O'Shawn Mathis. I didn't even mention him. I haven't heard enough about him, but what I have heard sounds to me like he had a great scrimmage. He had an amazing scrimmage this past the second scrimmage, and I've heard that he's been really good against the run, which is surprising because we were thinking he was going to be a sideline-to-sideline guy and a pressure guy, because he's a little bit undersized for the Big Ten. Whatever. So we got Garrett Nelson, we got Caleb Tanner, who I think is gonna be awesome. Then we got Ty Robinson, who I think is gonna really take a step up in that 4-3 and figure out how we can start getting pressure on the quarterback. And then we got O'Shawn Mathis. All right. Even that cat that they brought in from Texas Tech, that defensive tackle who just showed up. He just got here, and it sounds like he's already doing good things according to the coaches. What are the key guys that we're going to have on this team that are going to take the reins? I already talked about Garrett Nelson. Trey Palmer has been mentioned a million times.
Having Trey Palmer for sure to take the top off the defense helps, and then of course having Marcus and Oliver to be on the outside and Alante to run routes, I think is really special.
He's going to be busting up some corners all season, I truly believe. Where are they going to put him? They're going to put him in the slot. They're going to put him in motion on a regular basis. They're going to put him on the outside. I'd imagine all the above. Castaneda sounds like he is taking a huge leap forward. And watching him move, I like him. He's got very light feet, and his straight line speed is ridiculous. Him and Trey Palmer, they look similar. I'm curious who's faster. And then you got Marcus Washington. I mean, everything that I've been hearing about Marcus Washington, not only about how he goes about his business, and you look at some of his highlights at Texas, forget the fact that him and Casey Thompson have a rapport, and that's going to be a start. And it just sounds like he's been doing really good things in training camp as well. As long as they're not turning the ball over, and that's one of the other things. Love or hate Adrian Martinez, I like the guy. It's hard not to like him, because he was such a big play player. But his high ceiling of making big plays also was his bottom. How do you want to say? Like, his bottom was really low because he would make dunderhead. How the hell did you just do that? Mistakes. Turnovers at the worst time, and it was always at the worst time. I swear he carried that ball like it was, a dozen of eggs. You know what I'm saying? Forget a loaf of bread. It was a dozen eggs. He was slow in his reads, in his downfield progressions. He didn't trust his offensive line, so he wasn't very good at feeling the pocket very well. Definitely makes him. Anyway, regardless, my point is that multiple turnovers at the worst time, slow progressions, which therefore perpetuated tons of sacks. That's not going to be the issue with Casey Thompson. Are they speedy game breakers the same way Adrian was? No. But everything that you need to do in these kind of offenses, in present-day offenses, Adrian couldn't do. I love watching what I'm seeing out of Casey Thompson. The ball comes out of his hand quick. His decisions are decisive and quick. The touch, ever since he got his thumb fixed, the touch on the ball and his deep balls are nice. I like where he's placing the ball.
Almost no mistakes on the whole day, whether that was against the defense or the scouts. The game plan's really, really good and solid right now. We had a practice yesterday where we went over like 90 to 100 plays, and we didn't have many repeats or mistakes. So I think that the guys have a lot of confidence right now. But
Travis Vokalek, I've heard, not only is one of the few, because it sounds like they've been having trouble finding like established leaders on the offense, but Travis Vokalek has been one of them that has really been challenging guys. And in all honesty, and I've heard some people say this, and I completely agree, Travis Vokalek is a matchup nightmare.
Yeah, I think first off, those running backs are doing a really good job, and it's hard for me to even know who's in the game because they're all hitting it so hard and they're making good runs. Trey Palmer's done an excellent job making plays. Travis Vokalek's matchup nightmare. They just got a lot of weapons all over the field.
Well, I took that exactly from Shenander. Like, he is a matchup nightmare, and I think he's going to be giving linebackers a lot of issues. And in Whipple's offense, you know, looking at his Pittsburgh offense, they use those tight ends a lot, and I think he's going to be really Miami 2001 with Jeremy Shockey style. They're going to be using Travis Vokalek to really exploit a lot of these smaller safeties and linebackers. Ramir Johnson. I think Ramir Johnson is going to take a step up this year. If something's not working, if they're just completely locking down some of these receivers like Trey Palmer, Castaneda, if they're completely locking these guys down, and Ramir Johnson I could see being one of those guys that we lean on. There's just so many options for a guy like Mark Whipple to use, not only for multiple receivers, multiple running backs, but guys like Ramir Johnson, who has already said before that, you know, he can use him like a Brian Westbrook when he was at Philly. Multiple guys. I think a lot of these receivers, Travis Vokalek, I think he could be a 900-yard receiver, 800-yard receiver. Marcus Washington, Castaneda, Trey Palmer, Omar Manning. Like, you use Omar Manning right, you know what I mean? Like, put him in the slot, isolate him on linebackers. You could have LSU style. Okay, not LSU style of 2019, but you know, LSU had how many receivers with 50 plus catches? They had at least 3. Alright, I'm getting ahead of myself. But a lot of these players, my point is that they're going to have touches. A lot of these guys are going to have touches, and they're going to do a good job getting touches as Mark Whipple learns about these players and who's willing to step up as we get through the season, as we start going through the season and the conference schedule. And it's like they just have to find that identity. You got all these brand new coaches. You got all these brand new offensive players. You really think that they're just going to be like glue, frogs water ass tight, and killing it right off the bat? Hell no. But I promise you, they have the players and the depth to start doing damage. You know, by game 5, game 6, I think they'll really start hitting their stride in terms of flow, continuity with these wide receivers. Offensive line's going to start getting a rhythm. Again, as long as they stay healthy, I really believe that right around that point, it may happen sooner, but right around that point, I think they're going to start being pretty formidable and dangerous. Defense is going to have to hold them up until that point, and it sounds like, for the most part, that the defense is willing to take on that challenge because last year, that's pretty much what they had to do. It's football, where you just can't show up and all of a sudden you're all-pro ready. You know, sometimes some of Nebraska's best teams didn't truly hit their concrete stride, if you will, until the last 3 games of the season. Take a look at that 97 season. Like, their last game of the season, they almost blew it against Colorado. That lit a fire under their ass, and they whooped Texas A&M in the Big 12 title game, and then they whooped that super talented Tennessee team. If we go with that hypothetical, because we don't know any of this stuff, so let's go with it. Casey Thompson, all those Adrian Martinez turnovers are going to be eliminated. Fumbling, stop carrying the ball like it's a dozen eggs. Are they still going to turn the ball over? Yeah, once in a while, but is it going to happen at the worst time every single time? No. The read progressions are going to be faster, so therefore sacks are going to be limited, and sacks at the worst times are going to be limited. Okay, so what next? All right, we got special teams. Special teams, if it becomes, as opposed to being an atrocious weakness, actually becoming a strength of the team. All right, cool. Problem fixed there. Penalties, you still got penalties, but the level of discipline and fire that what sounds like these new coaches have brought to practice and the energy that's been brought to practice, you got to think that the discipline's going to be a little bit better, but who knows? We'll see. How many wins do we have back from last year now? How many wins do we have back? At least 2, maybe 3. Okay. And those turnovers. Arguably, we beat Michigan. Mr. Adrian doesn't fumble. If we limit those things, and then our running game is actually something that we can lean on. We got some of these players that are actually making plays in the trenches. They're breaking tackles. All these players that I just mentioned are players that I really truly believe, now that the culture is right, the tenacity is right, and the confidence is right. All these guys, I think, once they kind of find their footing, and as long as people stay healthy, I think all those guys are going to be in a position to where they can truly start bringing numbers back. I was when I initially was planning on this video, I was going into detail about each and every single position. And I just felt like it just started sounding like everybody else on all the preseason videos that are coming out. You know what I mean? We've all seen them. We all know what the hell's going on. Me doing this video is more or less my own forms of generalized optimisms, and really touching on alright, that's 4 years in a row, whatever, in terms of like trying to drink the Kool-Aid and be optimistic. And honestly, coming into this year, I just know this team is going to be damn good. I just know it. I don't know how good. You know, not undefeated, not winning the Big Ten. I'll be pleasantly shocked if that actually is the case. They're going to be really good. They're going to be dangerous, and they're going to finally shut up. This is what I'm 100% confident about, is they are finally going to shut up and give the middle finger to all the pundits, all the critics, all the Big Ten coaches that have been, you know, yeah, they look good coming off the bus, but just hang in there for a quarter and they're going to start beating themselves. Those coaches are going to be shut up, I think. I see a lot of these pundits that I'm hearing about, like, you know, they'll talk about the transfer portal. They'll talk about, you know, how Nebraska has the best transfer portal, but then they'll be extremely dismissive about all the new coaches Nebraska has. They'll be completely dismissive, and they'll just say, They're saying Nebraska has the best transfer portal coming in with all these new coaches. You know, completely ignore what Michigan State did last year. They'll completely ignore what Michigan did last year. 2 years ago, Michigan State and Michigan had how good of seasons? Michigan State had the best transfer portal, just completely overhauled their roster, and look what they did last year. Michigan, they didn't overhaul their roster, but they overhauled their coaching staff. What did Nebraska do this year? Both. Best transfer portal class, and they brought in a ton of established coaches. There's no reason to be pessimistic, in my opinion. None. Because again, even though it was only 3 wins, last year we saw that Nebraska can play with everybody. They can play with everybody. They can beat everybody, right? So I think this year is finally the year, and we have the heads, we have the leadership, we have what it takes to finally establish and win, and possibly win big. This is the year, guys. This is the year. Anyway, leave comments. Tell me I'm an idiot, drinking the Kool-Aid yet again, you know, and brainwashed by Scott Frost and blah, 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 whatever. Tell me whatever you want. Or, you know, tell me what you agree with and what you don't agree with. Like I said, I don't want to make predictions, but we're going to be good. And I'm no Kool-Aid. I'm 100% confident about that. So I'm going to be putting out, like, videos like this for every single game we have this year, as well as I'm going to throw, kind of like I did just about a month and a half ago, a video about the best college offenses that we've ever seen. If you haven't seen that, I'll put it up here. I'll put the link up here somewhere. In the process right now, before I did this one, in the process right now, doing some of the best, or the best, most dominant NCAA defenses we've ever seen. So I'm in the middle of doing that video right now too. So sometimes I'll just throw some nerd stuff out there, but by and large, this is a Nebraska channel. So yeah, I would appreciate a like, subscribe, all that goofy stuff. You guys know the drill. You know, 2022 football season coming at you. Can't wait, guys.